That's awesome.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience as we figured out some stuff behind the scenes. Welcome to Soap Opera Drama, sponsored by Harlequin Books and Bookstore Romance Day. I hope everyone is enjoying the second day of Bookstore Romance Day programming, panels, whatever you want to call it. I'm a librarian, so everything's programming. And I'm excited to talk to a few authors today. Four. I've never actually talked to four authors at once. It's usually been three. Today we have Hudson Lin, author of most recently Hard Sell, Synithia Williams, excuse me, who's coming out with Foolish Hearts in a couple days, I think. Mona Shroff, author of Then There Was You, most recently, and Angelina M. Lopez, whose most recent book is Serving Sin. Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to everyone on whatever coast or continent, I guess, you're on. And I guess let's start out with each author telling us a little bit about their books. Who wants to start?
I can go first.
I'll go. Hudson go. Lynn go.
Okay.
Lynn, you go first.
So, like Jess said, my most recent book is Hard Sell, and it is about Danny, who is a very successful businessman. He's got everything made. He's got the money, he's got the career, but he's looking for something a little bit more. And that's when his best friend's little brother sort of waltzes back into his life. And so that was 7 years ago. Danny and Tobin, who is the best friend's little brother, they had a steaming hot one-night stand. And neither of them have really been able to forget it. And then now they find themselves on opposite sides of a business deal. So, there's conflicts in the boardroom and then sparks in the bedroom, because of course there is. And so they got to figure out, their careers, this business deal, family, and like themselves also, to find their way to their happily ever after.
Sure, I'll go. My release is Serving Sin. It is about a bodyguard who's also a prince. Found out later in life he's a prince. He's a reluctant prince bodyguard who goes to Mexico to save the teen heiress, now turned CEO, who it's 13 years later, so she was a teen heiress, now she's the CEO, but to go protect her. And sparks fly. It's a bodyguard romance, but definitely turns that trope on its head a little bit. It's a very, very powerful CEO. I write sexy books about strong alpha heroines and the worthy men who are lucky to fall in love with them.
Go ahead, Synithia.
Right, on Tuesday, Foolish Hearts is the final book in my Jackson Falls series. And so in Foolish Hearts, it follows one of the Robidoux cousins. If anyone's read that, the Robidoux is a wealthy tobacco family in North Carolina with all of their drama and fun. And so, but in Foolish Hearts is one of the cousins. It's a second chance romance. Shia Waters finds out she's trying to stay out of the business side of the family drama, but when her paternal grandmother dies and leaves her most of the shares in her company, then she has to go to Hilton Head, South Carolina to kind of meet new cousins and take over that family business. And helping her is her ex, Russell Gilchrist, who also wants to move up in the Robidoux fortune, but they were together once. She broke his heart, and so now they have to work together. So it's like office romance, second chance romance. We've got a missing persons case going on, some old childhood stuff they got to work through, along with all the sexy times. So that's the final installment. I threw everything but the kitchen sink in this book.
So, and my book is Then There Was You, and it's actually about two people who've had some really traumatic times that have things that have happened to them in their lives, and they come together, but they're not quite there because they kind of have to deal with their own issues before they can actually be there for the other person and really be there. And so I just sort of investigated like what it would be like to have two traumatic events and then have them come together and see how that would see how that plays out. And that's Daniel and Annika in mind.
Awesome, thank you all. And just to express the joy it is of hearing an author talk about their book and hearing a character's name, I now know to read Ashia instead of whatever my brain was doing as I was reading Foolish Heart. Well, thank you all for joining us and talking about drama today. And to get into it, as authors, as readers, as anything, what is it that you love about drama?
I mean,
I really appreciate. Yeah, we probably should figure out some way we're going to do this.
Yeah,
we're all too timid.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that you've got, I think we're all writing drama, but all of us would say we also are writing humor and fun times and sexy times and sadness and, trauma. And so, I mean, I think we're all genre writers as well. We're romance writers, but we're genre fiction writers. And so it's all of that stuff we're throwing in there. But drama, you've got that whole roller coaster of it. So it just means the stakes are super high. You've got really, really high stakes with that, roller coaster of emotions. We can go either the high of drama or the low of drama. And so that's what I really enjoy about it, that when you're on that roller coaster, stakes get to be super high. Like, oh my God, we're about to fall. Just with you. So that's what I enjoy about writing, kind of these hyper accelerated emotional books is that the stakes are super high, which means I hope that the reader keeps wanting to turn the page. The biggest compliment is when somebody says, like, I stayed up all night and I hate you. And I'm like, excellent.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. Drama is like, that's what people want. Like, nobody wants to read a book about two people met, they got together, and they lived happily ever after. I mean, that's nice, but I think we all do these horrible things to our characters because it does keep those highs and those lows going. And kind of like that's how life is. I mean, it's very infrequent, I think, where two people just do meet and they get together, they fall in love and get together, and that's the end of their story. Everybody has some drama, and so on some level, all of our readers can relate to some amount of drama because we've all experienced it as part of life, and that's what makes it interesting. And I think what's fun in the fiction book is that that by the end of this book, they will be together and everybody will be happy. And I think that's also really rewarding as a reader and as a writer to know that whatever the drama is, even if you get to that point, and I get to that point as a writer all the time, I'm like, well, now how am I going to get them back together? I just screwed with them, and now what, so I think I do think that just writing all of those cliffhangers and trying to get them apart and then figure out how they're going to come back together is really exciting to write and to read.
It's also a challenge, I think, as a writer to put something super messy, dramatic, emotional, whatever in the story, whether it's a part of the two characters' relationship or their relationships with family, friends, or whatever. And how are you going to resolve that if you're going to be, at all? So it's fun and challenging to see how far can I ramp up these stakes, but still bring these people back together or find that happily ever after. So it's fun and challenging.
I'm gonna. This is gonna sound a little weird, but I actually, in my own real life, really, really hate drama. I have zero tolerance for people who tend to, I don't know, blow things out of the water or try to instigate things against each other. So I'm very much whoa. So I think in contrast to that, I just put all of that into my books instead of having it in my real life.
Mhm.
So like any desire or like inkling I have to like see how messy relationships can work themselves out happens in my books. And I think that that's like what makes me really appreciate my characters is that they have the ability to work through the messiness of life to get to their happy ending, and they have like that perseverance and the patience and like the courage to really like wrestle with some of these really difficult situations that we put them in. And most of the time I would not want to find myself in the same position that I put my characters in at all. So I'm happy that it's in a fictional book rather than in my real life.
Where were you before ending?
Yeah.
My life is super boring. I'd rather have my drama in a book.
Boring is great.
Yeah, and you all do such a good job of sort of alternating or combining that sort of internal high stakes that and external high stakes. Like Angelina, you know, you've got people on the run and all of like murder and threats and death threats and all of this stuff, and then Lynn, like everything just seems so like really internal, like and of course like everyone's stakes are super internal in all four of your books, right? But then there's like all of the little extra bits that you all add to make everything happen. So yeah, there is something about the ups and downs of the stakes and whether they're external, internal, or all over. So yeah, I love it too. So since the name of this talk is soap opera drama, I was wondering if any of you have like either current or past emotional connections to soap operas, daytime soap operas, night soaps, telenovelas, Asian dramas, any of that stuff that sort of either inspired you to write the stakes that you do, or that you just enjoy experiencing because drama outside of your own life is always better.
I'll jump in and say yes. I even remember in kindergarten telling my boyfriend, "Kiss me like Bo kisses Hope," you know, from Days of Our Lives. Of course, he didn't know what I was talking about, but you know, I'm watching Days of Our Lives at home with like my grandma or my mom, whoever, you know. So yeah, Guiding Light with Danny Santos. Gosh, I was so in love with that whole Danny Santos storyline and Guiding Light. And now, I mean, I will have a whole Twitter meltdown about a K-drama that I'm watching. So yeah, I'm still all into the dramas.
Does Jane the Virgin count as a drama?
Totally.
I love Jane the Virgin. And
Same.
especially Raphael, who is like the ultimate redemption story, is like, you know, really easy on the eyes. Doesn't hurt to stare at him. But also the actor, Justin Baldoni, is like a super amazing person in real life. And he does like a lot of talks and TED Talks about like toxic masculinity and like all this stuff. It's just like, you are so nothing like Raphael. That's amazing.
Yeah, I remember seeing a trailer for his book in Target. I was like, it's Raphael. But
yeah.
I don't know that I put it into my books or not, but I did grow up, like after school, my mom would always have on like Guiding Light. Like we were not that General Hospital family, we were the Guiding Light family. And I would have my after school snack as I was watching it. And I got really invested in these people, and to the point where, you know, I got a little obsessed. And then life, like college happened or whatever, and then I stopped watching the soaps for a while. And I do distinctly remember being overseas with my husband, where he was stationed, and our baby had just been born, and they would play the soaps at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. and I on AFC, and I would watch while I was nursing my daughter, and I was like, I have to stop because literally the whole world. I would like stand there, like watching. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to be like taking care of this baby, and I would be like, no, wait, just wait 2 seconds. And let me see what happens next. And I was like, okay, we need to stop. We need to like cut yourself off because no, no, you can't. You have to take care of this child now. I did get really over invested and a little too obsessed, I think, in some of those soap operas. So it's a little bit like a drug. So I have to cut myself off, and I just kind of like, I kind of have to just. It's better for me in a book because I can theoretically like put the book down and walk away. It's all very theoretical, but yeah. So, but I feel like I'm not consciously putting that kind of drama into my book, but I feel like it's in me, right? So it just comes out. So it comes out. Yeah.
I was a huge fan of As the World Turns, and like long time ago, like whether Lily was going to get together with Holden and Dusty, which was like, I mean, so long ago, like so long ago. But there'd been a point where I've been writing for 20 years, and I had taken a break, and I was watching. It was when True Blood was going. And I remember there was this moment where they're like being chased by something, and then all of a sudden, werewolves show up. And I'm like, where the heck did the werewolves come from? And what the show was like, the writer's room just seemed to be like, somebody would just be like, and then her head turns entirely backwards. And everybody said, yes, and. Like, nobody said, no, that's stupid. Everyone was like, yeah. I mean, they would just like throw whatever they wanted at the show. And I had taken a break because I had been not because I'd been plotting, but I'd taken a break because I was just tired of writing. And I was a very intense plotter. And that True Blood, along with watching True Blood and some other things, I started to really embrace, like, throw whatever you want at the page. Like, you can fix it in edits, you can fix it in editing, but stop trying to be so locked down. Just throw stuff and see what happens. And that's really where Lush Money came from, and this kind of over-the-top dramatic. I remember the first time somebody said it was telenovela. Like, I've never watched it. I watch American soap, and I literally was like, it's just a romance novel, but it is. But that idea of just throw whatever you think of and fix it later. You know, there's no reason to hold back, and especially if you can pair it with like real world emotions about this stuff. So I don't know that I was inherently, affected by soap operas, but this idea of just being like, God, let's just have some fun with this. Why shouldn't werewolves show up? Of course.
And I should probably just add that I did have a lot of Bollywood influence. I did watch a lot of Bollywood when I was a teenager. So that overly dramatic, the whole Bollywood with the songs in the middle of everything, that's definitely in my head when I'm writing too. So
I mean, I break out a song in the grocery store, so
there you go.
I'm all about breaking out a song.
That should just be the world. That's how
it's life more fun that way,
Yeah.
I used to watch a lot of Asian dramas when I was younger, not so much now, but it's really interesting to see the differences between dramas from like different parts of the world and how like what is considered dramatic in different parts of the world, right? Because like in Asian dramas, it's very much like the silent suffering, and it's like I'm going to sacrifice all of this, even though nobody asked me to, and I'm not going to like tell anyone. And then when they don't appreciate me, then I'm going to be like really bitter because like I didn't tell anyone, but they don't automatically know.
It sounds pretty universal there.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. And then in the Asian dramas, there's always like the big gesture at the end where they're like running through the streets and it's like raining and then like thunderstorms. Yeah.
It's always raining in a Bollywood movie, but only if she's wearing a white sari.
Right. Yeah.
Because it has to stick to her body. And then they're in love, right? Like that's the thing. But there it is. And nowadays that we have like, and I don't even watch them, but because it's in the daytime. But there's now like Indian dramas, like a telenovela type of thing, where it's just beautifully dressed people and all kinds of. I don't even know, but my parents and my in-laws are addicted, so there must be something good going on.
Oh, well, now I have so much more to watch. Thank you. I was in an alternating General Hospital guiding light family, depending on if I was with my mother or my grandmother. So my mother was all about ABC, and my grandmother was every other channel. But so, you sort of talk about some of the things that influenced you from it, especially the throw everything you want at it. But do you have a favorite sort of soapy or dramatic element to write in your novels, or that you want to include in a future novel?
I mean, my favorite element of writing these big, heavy books is the sexual tension that you and when you've got drama, and you've got high stakes, the sexual tension just is, over the top, and that's my absolute. It's why I write them, is because I want that tension of why two people should not be together, just to be as high and tight as possible. And again, as a genre writer, it's like, if you're writing mystery, you want that mystery to be on the edge of your seat. If you're writing horror, you want your reader to be terrified. If, as a romance writer, my goal is I just want every moment of that couple being together to just be really like, are they or aren't they? And so with writing a more dramatic element, the sexual tension for me is what I enjoy most about. I think if I was writing lower stakes books, I wouldn't be able to write the tension quite so high, and that might be a goal that I have at some point. That's what I enjoy.
I love writing a good breakup scene. I love writing that breakup scene where they're just like, there's high emotion and tension, and they love each other, but they're not going to be together. They want to be together, and they're just not going to be together because of whatever this reason is. So I spend a lot of time trying to come up with a really good reason for them to think that they really shouldn't be together. And then that is one of my favorite scenes to write when I'm writing a book, is that breakup scene. And I feel like that's why I always write that scene, and then I'm like, well, I'm done now because I don't know how I'm going to get them back together. and any of my critique partners who know me after this long, I will be calling them and I'll be like, I don't know, I broke them up. I don't know how to get them back together. I don't know what to do. So fix it. Tell me how they're going to get back together. But that is my absolute favorite, is that whole, like, oh my God, like the breakup scene. I love to write
that. I don't know. I like the tension too. I think it's like what Angelina said. I love that we can't be together reason, right? And so I like to try to think of the most dramatic reasons why people can't be together. Like in Forbidden Promises, it's because it's your sister's ex-husband. Like that's the ultimate. You cannot be with your sister's best friend. Girl code. You're not supposed to break that. So how do I break that and still make you not hate these people? So that's what I like to think about. What's good reasons for these people, these two grown adults, to not bang? Because I mean, if you're grown consenting adults, then you can have a reason. Go ahead and do it. But what's a good reason for them to be like, no, I'm not gonna sleep with this person that I really, really, really want to sleep with?
I think I tend to write characters who are opposites from each other, and then sort of throw them at each other, and they just like don't understand how the other person operates. They're just like, what are you talking about right now? And I don't know, I just find that really interesting to be like, one, maybe it's like Grumpy Sunshine, and one's like emotional and very rational, or and yeah, just like throw them into the situation and see how they react differently, and that just causes even more chaos in their relationship.
We do love that chaos. Or as readers, we do love that chaos. Oh, and speaking of not quite chaos, but just all of the things that are happening in all of your books, the breakups, the high sexual tension, the high emotional tension, the how are these people we really like. How do you deal with all of the not just angsty but like traumatic elements of your characters while you're writing these books? Like you all have people who are going through some stuff, and you're like in it for months at a time when you're producing this. How do you sort of stay connected but also not end up where they are?
Not easily.
I think you kind of have to feel some of their feelings, and I guess I do cry when I'm writing it sometimes, but I feel like if I don't make myself cry, if I don't feel their emotion, then I can't. How am I going to get it across to you? Or at least empathize, at the very least, empathize with what they're going through. Since I did create that trauma for them.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know that there's a big separation. I mean, there is because it's not real, but it's not real to you. But yeah, I'm sorry, Lynn.
No. I was just gonna say I agree. I think that I have to tap into, a certain part of myself that's like, well, if I was in this position, what would I feel? And you do kind of have to go there sometimes just to like really suss out exactly what that emotion, what that feeling is like to be able to describe it properly. But I also find that over the course of working on a book, we go through it so many times that like once you get that initial, maybe first draft, maybe second draft down, like halfway through, it's just words on a page, and it's just like, let me just get through this. They can. I don't want to read this book again for like the 15th time. So yeah, I think like the repetition of the editing process and the revisions and sending it off to critique partners and to editors and things like that is how I create that distance that by the time the book is out, I'm like, okay, that's, that's done. I can talk about it and then we can move on to the next book.
I think too, whatever complicated scenarios your character is going through in a romance novel, it's also balanced by, oh my God, I want to bang this person really bad. I might be angry with them. The complication might be coming from them or it might be coming from a scenario, but it's still the underlying and effect of romance novel is the only reason we have that stuff is to create this tension and chemistry between the characters and they're vibrating with, I want to bang them, so that, it's not just this, it's not just bad stuff, that a romance novel is inherently optimistic in the end. And so you're all of any kind of complicated emotion, whether again it's coming from the antagonist, it's coming from the scenario, is, first half of the book is, first third of the book is, I want to bang them. Third of the book is, wait, that person is now making those feelings easier, it's helping. And the last third is, well, black women all, but it's like, this person can actually help me fix my world. Doesn't that person can't fix my world, but can help me, and I can be the best person that can be for them. So even if you're talking about trauma, even if you're in the traumatic scenarios in a romance, that's not playing center stage. It's playing center stage is, I want to be with this person, and this person comforts me. I mean, when we're writing our books well, it's that incredible nurturing sense of what it's like when you find somebody who matches you and who makes the world better. And again, they don't fix the world. None of our characters rely on the other person to fix the world, but help you bring your best self, help you figure out your best way of getting around these scenarios. And at the end, how awesome it is when you find a partner who can help you get to that stuff, which is where all of our books, get to. So, living in that space as an author where you're like, again, we're all like, we're boring, but in our books, it's like living in that emotion of like, I want to bang him, or they're so sweet, or so nice. I was revising on Friday, and I wrote my hero saying something, and I literally said out loud to myself, I think I'm in love with him. Like, oh my God, I love him. So, like, and I've not really said that about any, and I was like, I think I'm in love with him. Like, he just kills me. So I just don't want anyone watching being like, God, their books are downers. Like, you know? Like, they want to bang. That's what we're writing. You know?
I think I've accepted.
I went on a tangent. Sorry, guys.
Oh no, I think I've accepted that I'm not going to heal everything in this book because, like Angelina said, it's about that couple and their romance. So if the trauma, especially if it's outside, if it's their family or something they went through when they were younger, or something they're dealing with, the relationship is their safe space. Like they found the person who can accept them as they are, who loves them wholly, that they can be themselves with. And so that's their safe space in that relationship. They may not fix the relationship with their parents, or they may not completely have found the magic cure for whatever it was that, caused them trauma in the past. But what I will try to give is that hope that they've recognized it, they've accepted it, and now you feel as if they're on the path to at least deal with that in the future. So if I was going to write the women's fiction version of these people now that they're together, maybe they'll deal through that, but I'm not. The romance novel is them meeting and falling in love and finding that safe space in that relationship and all this other stuff that's going on. And can that person that they're falling in love with accept that about them, work with them as they go through that, but and give them that healing place, which is what you want in any romantic relationship. Whoever your partner is, you want that person to also be a safe space that you can be your authentic self with. So that's what I'm realizing too as I write all this stuff, that I don't have to solve every single problem that this character has in this book.
Yeah, that's pretty key. We've all got stuff that we have to deal with. So let the relationship speak for itself. Okay, just as a reminder to those of you watching, you can click on that Ask a Question box, and we're going to have a bit of a Q&A towards the end. We have a couple more questions that I have, and then we'll get to yours. So go ahead, and if you have a burning or not so burning question, go ahead and ask it, preferably in the Ask a Question box. And just so that we get to those questions, we're going to jump ahead a little bit. For each of you, what is, if you can share, what is next in your what's your next book or whatever that's coming out for you? I guess it's going to be a book for all of you. Oh gosh, I did not have enough caffeine this morning, and it is still morning for me.
I'm just today, Friday, I have to turn in a proposal for book 3 in a new series that I'm doing for Harlequin Special Edition. So I get to bring it a little bit more small town, but I get to still make it fun, because I was inspired by the Ghost Brothers when I was watching their show. And I'm like, I need to write a story about 3 hot dudes that are like investigating ghosts on the side. So, and they were like, yeah, we like this. So that'll be coming next year, that new series. And this past week I turned in a proposal for another series for HQN. And so I have more books coming, but I get to take a little bit of a break after 2020 and 2021 with 2 releases this year. So the next one will be next summer.
Great.
My next release is going to be a short story. It's a FF romance about 2 dragon boat paddlers who are going to be competing in a dragon boat race, and so that's coming. It's a short story. It's in the an anthology coming out in September, and right now I'm working on Going Public, which is the sequel to Hard Sell, and it's going to follow the story of one of Danny's coworkers. More drama and finance and sketchy characters and all that good stuff.
I have I have 3 coming out next year. 2 of them are special edition, and that is my first series. And we just got a name for the series. We're calling it Once Upon a Wedding. It's a series, so these are the first 2 books, and I am getting ready to do a proposal for a third, hopefully, in that series. And then I have my third HQN book coming out actually next August now. And I will be setting up also a proposal for HQN for like another book there. But that HQN book is my firefighter, my Indie Woman firefighter book. That I just, not that I don't love all the other ones, but I really love that heroine. And because she's so badass, and I just want to be her. And I think we've talked about how we're not like that exciting. Just like, so she's that's coming out next year. So I have 3 releases next year, which I'm really excited about as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
I've got my next book is coming out July 2022. It is called After Hours on the Lago Street, and it is the first the 3-book series about 3 Mexican American sisters who return to their small Kansas hometown to save the family bar. And the first book is about the black sheep and middle sister who return wanting the bar and find a fussy sunshine professor standing in her way. So I'm super excited about it. It's through Carina Press, which is an imprint of Harlequin, and they've got some interesting things to do with that book that they're percolating, and I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited. My roots are in small town Kansas and multi-generational Mexican American family from small town Kansas. And so I get to kind of tell a story that not a lot of people know about, and talk about home and my family and bars, which I'm a big fan of. So all of that, I'm just beyond excited. And as I mentioned, I'm in love with my heroes. So I'm very excited about that happening. So summer of next year.
That is awesome. I'm looking forward to all of the things happening in the next couple years. And I'm sure those at home are also very much looking forward to these. And just as the final question that I always love asking authors, if they are, so what are you reading now, or what have you recently read that you can definitely recommend that we pick up?
I just got done reading Tiff Marcello's in a book club far away, and also Accidentally Engaged by Farah Halone. And I'm so sorry, there's another Tiff book I just read. I think it's just, It Takes Heart. That's the beginning of her next series. And those were all amazing. And I'm actually reading all 3 of your guys' books at the same time, which is new to me. Because I was like, I want to read. I've never read Synithia or Hudson Lin before, so I wanted to read a little bit before we went in there, and I am hooked. And so now I'm like, well, crap, I'm reading 3 books at the same time. Now I need to finish them. But yeah, so they're all amazing as well. So
I am also working through all of your books, and I just finished Angelina's, and now I'm moving on to Mona's, and so I'm kind of a slow reader, so I'll get through all of them. I wanted to recommend this book. It's Aiming High by Tanya Chris, and I mean, I'm just going to show you the cover. Can you just like look at the guy's back, right?
Oh,
You
wow.
know, it's like, so the book is about the Olympics and rock climbing in the Olympics, which just happened. And it's the Canadian competitor and the American competitor, and, you know, they're rivals, but as they are in Tokyo and they are training and they are, you know, competing in the Olympics, they end up falling in love, which is really, really cool. And Tanya is a climber, so there's a lot of really cool climbing references in there. And it was cool also just to watch the Olympics, having read this book and being like, oh, what's the same and what's different? So that was fun. And then the other book that I've just been obsessed about is called Uncharted by Ali Temple. And it is about lesbian pirates, which is like the best thing ever. the premise is there's a princess and she's being forced to marry the evil prince, and she doesn't want to marry him, obviously. And then she gets kidnapped by a pirate who happens to be her childhood best friend. That they were in love with each other, but then, circumstances, they went separate ways. So now her and her childhood best friend are have to run from the prince and his evil minions, and they're trying to get to safety and on a pirate ship and falling in love, and it's great. So Uncharted by Ali Temple, and if you like audiobooks, the audiobook is superb. I recommend it.
I had to check my phone. Oh, go.
Yeah, no, I want to, but let me do. Synithia's book. My agent and I had been talking earlier this year. No, last year. It was last year. And my agent was like, "You have to check out this writer." I was in total writing slump, and Synithia broke it with the first book in that series. And I read it, and I loved it, and it was like over the top and super emotional, and so I fangirled Synithia, like, be my friend, right? You're my friend, but yes, be your friend, fine. So totally. And then I got a sneak peek at Mona's wedding book, and I loved it so much. I don't read a whole lot. I'm writing, so I just don't read a whole lot. And Mona's book I read in it was like 6 hours. Like the turnaround time for him to send it to when I sent her notes. Was like, here's the notes. It's amazing. Keep going. It's incredible. And Lynn, I've got your book too. I've got your book ready to go. But yeah, read all of the books. They're amazing. So yeah, and Tiff's book is incredible too. The romance. Because she's coming back to romance after Women's 50.
She is coming back to romance. It Takes Heart.
It Takes Heart. It's
Takes
so
heart.
good. It's
so
really,
good.
really
And the second one is coming out soon, or it's already out. Yeah. So she's coming back to romance after a little break. But yeah, incredible. And rom-com with Farah Harun, I like so much. So cute.
Yeah, I think I probably tag, I know at least Angelina and Mona online on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter after I read your books. Like, okay, thank you for really just showing me how awesome you are, and makes me want to go back to writing school. So I just enjoy your books so much. And so, Lynn, I look forward to reading yours as well. I am reading, and I had to check because I'm bad with remembering titles. So it was Erstwhile by H.E. Trent, because over the weekend I said I wanted to read Banging in Space and got a lot of recommendations. So that is what I'm doing right now. And I'm really enjoying it. Too Hot Alien. So if you're Banging in Space, I recommend that. And I am listening to Island Queen by Vanessa Riley. It's I only work 15 minutes away, so it's taking me a very long time to go through my audiobooks. But I am thoroughly enjoying it. That's historical fiction. So when I'm working on my own stuff, I like to read outside of contemporary, so that I'm not doing the, oh my God, look at how Mona and Angelina write. And so I don't want to, I have to read something else when I'm working on my stuff. And so that's why I need aliens and historical fiction and other stuff right now.
Yeah. I will second Lynn's recommendation for Aiming High. I read it. I actually started reading it during the climbing. Like, we had climbing on, and I was like, I should read that climbing book that I downloaded a while ago. And it was like, oh, it's set during the Olympics.
Yeah.
So it's lots of fun. Okay, so at those of you at home, just a reminder, you can ask questions. We have one question right now that, who knows, might actually take us to the end of the hour. And it's from Susan, and she,
Uh-oh.
Wait, I broke up.
Yeah, I think Jess broke up.
Okay.
I think we're losing Jess.
Yeah, I think it's Jess.
I think it's Jess. Okay.
Well,
All right,
I can click on ask a question.
I was going to do that too. Let's click on it.
What's the most difficult part of sustaining the drama throughout a book?
Oh. Go ahead. Synithia, you can take that one first.
Again, solving the drama that you created. And keeping it interesting. That whole middle of the book thing. I know there's some official writer term for it or whatever, but it's fun for them to meet and the meet cute and set up and then the big breakup or whatever at the end and the big Hollywood ending or whatnot. But that stuff in the middle is so for me, I sketch out my scenes, right? So because I work a day job, so at lunch I'll be like, this is the scene I'm gonna write tonight. But every scene I go through what is the goal, motivation, conflict of that scene, like what are they trying to do and what's keeping them, what's standing in their way. And if I do that for every scene, I think that helps, because at least whether it's just they're sitting at home ordering donuts scene or something is making it hard for them to order donuts. And they have to work through whatever that problem is to order the donuts. And I think that's helped me, so that each scene I at least have something going on that is making it difficult for my character, or they have to work through something or have a big discussion. And I think that helps sustain it throughout the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think in romance, what can happen when you're a newer writer, and we've all seen this and we've all done it, which is usually it's the heroine states in the beginning, this is the problem I have with you. And then she would state it again, and then she would state it again, and then she would state it. And it's like, we've dealt with that problem. And so it's like, what are these evolving problems that can happen that you stick on theme to what you're trying to achieve in the book, and yet can keep that drama going, keep that stuff going without it being over the top, without being unnecessarily, huffy. We would run into that lot, these heroines who in 80s 90s books would just be huffy, just to be huffy, because it would maintain that conflict. And I think sketching out what are the new complications, and I think a lot of it, when people call our books soap opera drama, but part of that is creating a world around them that does provide options for conflict, that it's not just one thing, but we create a world around our characters that provide varieties of conflict coming from different ways, generally all aiming same ways thematically. But I think that's how we do it, is it's not simple. The worlds they live in aren't simple. So we create, bring up those problems as we go along. But structurally, doing it the way Synithia does it is way better than the way I do it, which is like, now hoping it all ends up okay. Doing like a goal, motivation, conflict, and sketching it out is way preferred. Do what she does.
Yeah, I would ditto that, because I actually feel like we all write contemporary, and I feel like the hardest thing in contemporary is to keep them from having that mature discussion that's just going to solve everything. I mean, they're grown-ass adults, right? Just sit down, talk about how you feel, be done with it. The books would be this big. No one would read them. I mean, right? So I feel like creating, like you said, that world around them. So it can be the world around them, or it's internal, it's their psyche, it's their past experience, but something is keeping them from being able to just come out and say what they need to say, or confront the person they need to confront, and do that kind of thing. Because Cynthia said it earlier, they're grown, consenting adults. If they want to bang, they can bang. You've got to have something that's keeping them from doing it. And in modern times, and the things that we write, I mean, they really, I think when I started writing, I've always written contemporary, but one of the first pieces of advice that I got was, make sure it can't be solved by a conversation. So even a long distance relationship, well, just get on the phone and FaceTime, have a conversation. So I think I do find that really hard. And I do like Synithia's approach. It makes much more sense, because I think my approach is probably a little bit more like Angelina. And I'm like, oh God, now what?
There's 100 pages I'm going to flush now because of what I'm doing to them now. Great.
I just want to say that cell phones and smartphones have made it so much more difficult to write to sustain conflict. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you can just pick up the phone and like text somebody or like FaceTime somebody, it's like you have to come up with all of these reasons why somebody doesn't have their phone.
If you watch Buffy,
Right.
so many things happen because Buffy's running someplace, not getting in a car, not picking up the phone. She has to run someplace, and something disastrous happens. That where now she would just be like, "Don't open that box."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ruined.
Right.
Sometimes a ruined dramatic action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't do the goal motivation conflict because I'm not that organized, and it sounds like a great idea. I should probably start doing that. I'm definitely one of those, like, I tend to be a plotter, so I like try to figure out like what's gonna happen, and then I sit down and write, and like the whole plot just like goes out the window, and I just like, you know, it just random words come on the screen. I'm like, oh, I guess that's where we're going now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
No, I'm in my first draft revisions for the book I'm in now, and I just realized it's a whole one bed scenario. Like the whole thing, I'm like, oh, it's a just one bed trope. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, and it's what's so bad is it's really effortless now to weave in. I'm like, oh, it's been a one bed the whole time, but I didn't realize it until I
Right.
wrote
Yeah.
104,000 words.
Right.
Gosh.
And you throw out half of them.
You do.
no,
And I literally feel like it takes a good first draft for me to really get to know my characters, because I thought I had them breaking up and getting back together, and all of a sudden she's like, yeah, that's bullshit. I'm not getting back together with you. And I'm like, well, now what? She's not listening to him. He needs to grow more, or something has to happen. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Somebody else has to tell me.
I did not know my characters until the end of the book.
Right?
Like, who they really are, why they made that decision that I thought they were going to go left, but they went right. I don't know
Yeah.
until the end.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. I agree. So, oh, Jess
And the
is back.
sketching the characters thing.
Hi, Jess.
Hey, Jess. It was, I didn't do that to be like organized and brilliant. I did that because I just don't have time. It's like if I was working the day job, when I write at night, like I need to know what I'm writing. Like I can't sit here and be like, so what happens? You know, so that's why I started the ahead of time, but then adding that to it, let's go ahead and figure out that conflict. That's just so I can try to write faster and meet these dang blasted deadlines.
I'm gonna try it. When I sit down to write tomorrow, that's gonna be. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to be more organized and do it.
Sometimes it's very simple, like she's going to this, but he shows up and he's hot and she doesn't want to be attracted to him. That's her conflict. You know, so sometimes it's really that simple.
Nice.
Excuse me. Well, I said
bless you.
that question might bring us to the end, and here we are. It's 10:59 for me. It's 1:59 for some of you. Thanks to all of you for offering some insight into your writing and your lives and your books and everything else. And thank you to Susan for asking that question that allowed me to have some technical difficulties and come back. Thanks to everyone who came and watched us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Bookstore Romance Day weekend, and everyone have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
There's somebody there.
We just X out.